But the fact is, when FDR gave you the New Deal, that was the announcement of this is the new way, this is a new system, this supersedes the Constitution's out the window, and the bankers and so on, we're running the show. It was a legal declaration. Yeah.
Absolutely, and he declared the War Powers Act in 1933 and put the country into a permanent emergency, and that's what we're still under today.
Yeah.
So we've never had such a thing as, there was a republic in the U.S. that's been wiped out. In fact, the CFR's own writers in their own magazine, the Foreign Affairs, said that we'll do an end run around the Constitution. In other words, ignore it and go around it.
And the SPP documents say we're going to set up the North American Union by stealth. Okay, I promise. We're going right to your calls out of this break with your key questions for Alan Watt and myself. We'll be right back. His site's cuttingthematrix.com. I want to be clear here. The globalists are not gods. They're not invincible. They're organized. They control the issuance of currency and credit. We can take back our town councils in England, our counties, our cities in the United States and Canada by education, by showing people the false reality that they've been living in and educating them about tyrants of history. And now this is a high-tech version. We can cut big government. We can support the family. We can trust in our Creator to lead, God, and direct us, not the big organized religion. There is a big awakening happening, and the globalists are trying to manipulate that and control that. But their global warming taxes are in trouble. The record numbers didn't take the swine flu shot or the seasonal flu, so we had record low flu. That was in Wall Street Journal because it's the shot that gives you the flu, all the evidence shows. The people are trying to get healthier. That's why they're trying to wreck all the agriculture and industry where you are totally dependent on them. So even if you're awake, there's nothing you can do. And we're very close to entering a time when it's going to be even harder to beat these people. But I see a lot of positive things happening. Alan Watt, what do you see on the positive front? Then we're going to calls.
Well, I think people will be standing up more on an individualistic basis. As you know, groups are penetrated so darn quickly and taken over very, very quickly because they've got unlimited financing at the top and unlimited agents, basically, to go and do that. I got reports here of them doing it in Canada recently as well, and living it undercover with far-left groups, and in Britain too. The
control in Austin. They're just out-of-control operations here in Austin, but it's having no effect, and people are seeing through them.
Yes, and that's the key to it. If you retain your individuality and you mix with different people, you think you're a group. Whenever you see it veer off from its initial intent, then you know you've been taken over. You've got to, and then you leave it. You don't submerge yourself and lose yourself within the group. You must always think as an individual and keep your mind on track. That's the key to everything. And the boys at the top, now here's the thing too, they've taught us to think that everything is fair and that we live in some kind of democracy where everyone gets to say, and those who make the most sense will always win. The big boys at the top do not and never have played by any fair rules. If you want power and you want to maintain power, you don't play by the rules. That's why they don't care if they're caught out with all their lies. They continue regardless as though they never heard you. And they'll stoop to nothing to get their way. If it's blowing up buildings or a whole city, they will do it if need be. If need be. And we've got to understand that. Never to panic when we see these things come down the pike. Don't fall for the spin.
I agree with you. That's why they're so angry at 9/11 Truth and demonizing it everywhere, because we've taken their toy of false flag terror, and now people are automatically thinking, is it the government? Qui bono, who stands to gain? And it's really angering them.
Mm-hmm.
It's angering them, and they've put so much money out, and groups, again, anti-groups, you might say, and propaganda from the Pentagon through various agencies that appear as independent news clips. And I've read articles from the Pentagon where they actually do this to brainwash the public and try and poo-poo it. And these silly radicals with their crazy paranoid ideas and repetition of language like that, that's what they hope to win over the general public with. The general public, unfortunately, as I say, you cannot live in reality if you're consuming daily television fiction. Fiction is not fiction to entertain you, it's there to indoctrinate you. And I've lost count. I've tried to keep track of all the shows that come out since 9/11.
The messages, the anti-family, anti-gun, anti-homeschool, anti-free market, pro-world government, all the messages and cartoons about the Illuminati making it a joke. I'm going to make this point and then go to calls. You mentioned how they create mass insanity where people accept mass murder, war, torture, human sacrifice. Look at the Romans. Look at the Aztecs. Look at the Druids where, the sun won't come back during an eclipse if you don't give us your children to sacrifice. Every culture does this. They make you give over your children to be burned in fires or flayed or have their hearts cut out, because if they can make you do that willfully, they have full mind control over you. So human culture always ends up getting dominated by the psychopaths, and they turn the world into the type of world they like: death, destruction, torture, and killing. It's 1% of the population. We've got to identify them, educate the virtuous and good and the mighty to rise up and be the leaders they are to defeat this scum. Do you agree with me, Alan? It's about 1% are psychos?
I'd say there's a bit more than that. The elite have been breeding for a couple of thousand years at least, probably 3, with winners. In other words, those who dominated. The male is married to a female that's the offspring of some warlord or whatever, and they continue interbreeding with more what they call successful people, ruthless people, until you have generations of them. And they're psychopathic. They also recruit lesser psychopaths who are not born into such high power to serve them in bureaucratic positions.
Idiot savants of dark mathematics or logic, and they talk about it. I mean, a lot of them don't even have to think to do all these evil, duplicitous things. It just flows through them.
It does flow through. To a psychopath, they look at a problem, and they'll immediately see what seems to them to be the natural, straight solution to it. It doesn't matter if it means killing off a bunch of people in the way, as long as you solve the problem. It's very, very easy for them. There's no mental qualms. They don't have guilty consciences. They're very good at problematic solving.
The final test for special forces at Delta level is Machiavelli's The Prince. End justifies the means. And if you say, no, I don't believe in end justifies the means, say kill a whole village to blame it on your political enemy, if you say no, they go, oh, you passed. We're going to put you in the bureaucracy somewhere else. You're the type of good guy we want. You're going to be in procurement now. But the ones that say they will kill people and who are innocent, they say, you understand the greater good. You're going to be promoted now.
That's right. That's they call it the noble lie. Whatever you do must be through deception over the public, and it's called it's for the greater good, the noble lie. Same thing. And this technique is widely understood at the top, and they do employ lots of psychopathic people to carry it out, who are well paid, by the way. And then you get the stringers. You see, the Pentagon back in the 40s joined with academia for training the public along certain directions of thought. And in academia, it's completely politically correct.
It came out 3 months ago in the UN document that all the major universities went to UN meetings, hookers, meals, everything, for the world government to get them all involved. They know the environment, carbon dioxide isn't bad. They know it's about bringing in a communist collective world state, and it's all there. And they did the psychological test of these people. They hate their fellow man. I mean, I see somebody doing well and happy, or someone with a beautiful wife. I am happy for them. It's like I'm seeing something good, like a sunset. I appreciate wholesomeness. To them, they see you healthy, happy, successful. They hate it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they hate it all right. And academia really is a form of totalitarianism. Believe you me, if you rock the boat within academia, you're out right away. If you don't go along with the agenda, you're demoted or you're out the door very, very quickly. They all know this. They smell the wind, and they're really in it for their personal gain, most of them. They don't care who they're brainwashing or what they're taught to brainwash the youngsters with. They'll go along with it quite happily because they're psychopathic themselves, and they're very well paid as well. Self-interest rules them.
What percentage would you say are genetic psychopaths versus the psychopathoid biological android version through the conditioning in the media? What percentage are natural psychos versus quasi horde of hell servant wraith?
I'd say probably at the ruling elite's level, you're probably looking only at about maybe 20,000 very important families in a descending order. But remember, in a psychopathic culture, and that's what we've had since the feudal age and before, Psychopaths get to the top through viciousness and cruelty and slaughter and stealing. But they always give you, in the system, they give you, to dominate you, they also give you a psychopathic culture which we follow into dog eat dog, etc. And that again divides us further. We're all under control.
Triple mode there, just within that one layer of programming. They train their people to be ruthless. They'll always protect them and slaughtering, dominating. But then the public is taught to love the torture when it's being done to them or others, but that they've got to be weak and disarmed and servile.